This is Twit.
We've reported in the past on Google's Project Tango, which is an experimental smartphone that can quickly and accurately map indoor spaces and objects. It's great for things like games and all kinds of things. Last night, the Wall Street Journal reported that Google's also making a Tango tablet. Rolf Winkler is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal and one of the two journalists who broke this story. Welcome, Rolf.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, thank you. Before we talk about the tablet, can you tell us about Project Tango generally?
Sure. Project Tango was launched earlier this year. We saw a smartphone that they are releasing to developers, which basically it's packed with cameras, with sensors, and they have a great video that you can see on YouTube that shows how you carry, you got it right there on your screen, where you can carry this phone around, and it does a great job of mapping your surroundings. And you can think of applications like better indoor navigation for the visually impaired. You can think of potentially very immersive video games. There's potentially a lot of things you can do with technology like this.
So what did your sources tell you about the tablet itself?
We have a basic idea of what it's going to be. It's going to be first of all, we found out that there is going to be another device. A 7-inch screen. It's going to have 2 back cameras, infrared depth sensors, software to capture 3D images precisely. It's somewhat akin to what we've heard about the smartphone coming from Project Tango that we have already seen in those videos.
Is it going to be identical, just larger, or is there going to be subtle differences, do you think?
Hard to say. I mean, we have those basic details that I just shared with you, but we don't know precisely what it looks like. We don't know precisely when it's going to come, though it could be soon. It could be sooner than we think, and potentially ahead of Google I/O, which is their developer conference at the end of next month.
And can you flesh out a little more of the consumer application of this, beyond just sort of special needs? Last year for CNBC, I did a story about indoor mapping for retailers. And there's a lot of money to be made if someone gets that right. But it's really kludgy right now. Different shopping centers have their own devices. And so is there a retail component of this, or what are the other consumer applications?
Natalie, you ask the key question, which sort of gets to the distribution of this device, which is, what are those applications going to be? We don't really know. This is really new technology, and that's why Google is only making 4,000 of them, which they're going to give to developers, like with the original Project Tango smartphone, also that is being released in limited quantities to developers. The idea, of course, is have those developers come up with applications to make these devices useful. This is sort of a very interesting to see how Google likes to release its new gadgets versus someone like Apple, right? Look at Google Glass. This is a device that was launched or was unveiled in 2012, and only just a couple weeks ago was made available to anyone who wanted to buy it. It's been something that developers have been playing with, early testers, for a long time. Google likes to dog food these things. That's the verb for it. They like to dog food it in public, let people figure it out. And that has pluses and minuses. And one of the big pluses is you get a company like Quest Visual that Google just bought, which came up with this really ingenious app that, for Google Glass, where if you look at a sign in a different language, it can translate it automatically for you, augmented reality, right on your screen. It's brilliant. And it's the kind of thing that, you put Google Glass out there, people come up with interesting ideas for it, and maybe a device that would seem very weird and unnatural can start to have applications that make them useful. I think you're going to get something. Wow, I'm very impressed with your guys. You found that fast. Look at that. That's WordLens right there. That's what you're seeing it on a smartphone, but imagine that on Google Glass. Google just bought this company that does something just like this. Anyway, imagine that for something like Project Tango. There's going to be applications that we really can't think of right now because, that's why I'm a journalist. I'm not a developer.
Right, but useful and profitable are two very different things, and that's a great way to differentiate Apple and Google, is that Google just tries stuff. Maybe it'll be profitable. Apple won't do anything until it thinks it's profitable. So, but I've seen some kind of fun applications of this kind of indoor mapping technology. For instance, there's a grocery store, I forget the name of the chain, that has indoor maps that you can download on your smartphone. And then when you say, okay, where are the macaroni, it'll tell you which aisle. And then when you get there, give you a coupon. And, that actually is a way to become profitable with this kind of stuff. But to just hold your smartphone up so that you know which sign says the men's room so you don't walk into the wrong bathroom, how are you going to make money on that? Right.
Well, that's a good thought too, Natalie, because if something like that were to happen, let's think forward a little bit and imagine that grocery stores decide, you know what, I'm going to upload my inventory information, where items are sitting on my shelves, and we're going to create an application that provides all that information. That's data, right? That could lead to purchases. And the more of that, I mean, I don't, sort of thinking out loud right here with you, I don't know how Google would necessarily get that information into its servers, but it would maybe provide a lot of this as a service.
In the same way they do with maps.
And if it got that data, that is incredibly valuable and very profitable in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Rolf Winkler, I want to thank you for coming on Tech News Today and telling us about the Tango tablet.
Thank you, Mike.
It's a great story, and you can find stories like this from Rolf Winkler at WSJ.com. You can find Rolf Winkler at Rolf Winkler on Twitter.